We're going to have two short videos this week by me on two subjects that you need to get used to. One is the uses of the infinitive in chapter 15. Actually, in chapter 15, the author talks mostly about the forms of the infinitive. But we also want to get used to how the infinitive is used. This is part of learning not only the grammar, but what we call intermediate Greek grammar, the next step. And we're not taking the next step with most points. We're just learning the forms in Greek 1 and 2. But I want you to get used to some very simple things. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to look at a presentation. And I need to start the presentation at the right spot, I hope. There we are. Basic usage of the infinitive mood from chapter 15. Now, first of all, I want us to again notice that verbs are the motor of the Greek language. We spend a lot of time on verbs and verb forms. We spend proportionately more time learning verb forms than we do nouns or conjunctions or other forms, even though those are very important. Conjunctions and prepositions are especially important. But if we don't know verb forms and how they are used, actually, the other won't help us. It's important to notice that verb forms in the Greek language contain more information than they do in English. For example, they have mood, as do also English verb forms, but they have tense and kind of action. We saw that when we talked about the two different forms of the infinitive, luein and lusai. The present infinitive, if you don't remember what I'm talking about, go and read it again at the beginning of chapter 15 in your textbook. The present infinitive, to lose, luein. The aorist infinitive is with the aorist stem, lus, with sigma at the end, plus I, alpha, iota, lusai. Both are translated in English to loose, but the Greek verb carries with the additional information of the kind of action. And usually the present tense has a kind of imperfect, what we call imperfective. In other words, it's not completed. It is continuing, continuous action. Whereas the aorist tense has with it the idea of a completed action. You notice that even when we use it, the past tense to translate it, I went, I did, I saw, you hear that completed action in that past tense. But in the infinitive, there is no augment. So there is not necessarily past time with the aorist tense because there is no augment. Augment is in the indicative mood. We had it in chapter 12, elusa, I loosed. But lusai, the aorist infinitive, to loose, is translated into English with the same words, to loose, as the present infinitive. The verb also, except for infinitives, has person and number, a subject. And we will find that participles and infinitives often serve as noun forms. In fact, in the Greek language, nouns often developed from verb forms. And we will see what we mean by that later. We have, again, different types of action and the different tenses especially the present and the imperfect, which we will learn later, are kind of a video tense of being inside the action, telling us what is happening. The aorist and the future are photo tenses. They are like a one-time action, this happened. And then we have what I call photo album, the perfect tense, that happened in the past, but has continuing results. And either the concentration is on what happened in the past, but more often on the results from what happened. We talked about mood before. We've talked about how the infinitive is formed, and I hope that this is clear to you, that the present infinitive with the present stem and the present endings, the aorist infinitive with the aorist stem, the aorist infinitive, notice that the sigma is added, or with a strong aorist stem, takes the aorist stem and adds these endings to make the aorist, strong aorist infinitive. But you're able to tell the difference between a present infinitive and a aorist infinitive because of the aorist stem, whatever that aorist stem may be. Akuo, the aorist stem is akus with sigma, akusai. To hear, to hear. The important thing is to know the forms and to know how to translate them into English. And right now we know no difference between present and aorist tense with the infinitive. To hear, to hear. To believe, pistuein. Pistusai, to believe. Baptizein, to baptize, infinitive. The aorist infinitive is not found in the New Testament. Let's take graphein, to write. Grapsai, notice no augment. This is aorist stem ending, aorist infinitive, but translated also in English, to write. This is probably more of a present tense occurrence, continuous occurrence, and this is probably more of a one-time occurrence, but we don't actually know that apart from the context exactly. Point just right now to notice that the infinitive in the present and the aorist is translated into English usually the same. To write, to write. To hear, to hear. This goes over the same ground. Now, how is the infinitive used? You may notice in the KMP chart, which we're going to look at all of the uses of the subjunctive, but we're only going to look at 5 uses of the infinitive. That's all you need to know in Greek 2. In Greek 3 and 4, we will bring in all of the uses of the infinitive, but right now, only 5 you need to know. First of all, certain verbs need the infinitive to complete the thought. This is actually coming only directly from the textbook. So read the textbook, what he says there about the infinitive. 3 of these are already there in the textbook. Archomai, the middle voice of archo, I rule. Means I begin. But archomai is one of those verbs that needs an infinitive with it. I begin what? I begin to, this sentence, this verse from the New Testament says in the aorist tense, ex apo, that Jesus began from this then on, from then, apo, from, then, began, Jesus, and present infinitive, to preach and to say. Exato is the aorist of archomai. Jesus began. What did Jesus begin to do? The infinitive is needed to complete the thought of some verbs, like I begin. So that is one use of the infinitive, to complete the thought. Day is another verb. It is necessary. It is the use of one use of the verb deo. It's very common in the New Testament in the third person singular, and this is this third person singular form, he, she, it. It is necessary. It is necessary what? To do what? We need the infinitive with this verb form to complete the thought. It is necessary to be born from above. You must be born from above. Now, there's another use going on of the infinitive here that we'll look at in just a moment. But for right now, we just notice that this verb, it is necessary, needs the infinitive, in this case, the aorist infinitive, actually the aorist passive infinitive, which we won't meet until chapter 24, not to bear. That would be in the case of a mother, she can bear a child, but a man can be born. In other words, passive voice, it happens to him. In fact, it is necessary, Jesus says to Nicodemus in John chapter 3, you must be born from above, anothen, from God. It is necessary for you to be born from above. It is necessary for you to be born from above. Another verb in chapter 15 brought out dunamai. I am able, and especially the third person singular, but also here the second person plural, aste, dun aste. You are not able, elthein, to come, John 7:34. Notice the infinitive finishes the thought of this verb dunamai. So these are verb forms that usually need an infinitive in order to finish their thoughts. And then there's the impersonal verb existing. It is lawful. It is lawful to do what? To do. It is lawful to do. Poies, I notice this aorist infinitive of poieo, to do agathon, to do good. In the Sabbaths, actually, we would translate with the singular in English, on the Sabbath day. In Greek, it's in the Sabbaths, plural. It is lawful to do good or to do bad, kakopoesai, which is also an aorist infinitive. Another verb is fellow, I wish, or I want. You do not wish to come to me, pros me. You do not want to come to me, Jesus says, that you might have life. So this is another verb that needs the infinitive to finish the thought. I want what? I want to go. I want to come, elthein. Now, the second use of the infinitive is of the subject of a verb in the accusative case with the infinitive. Now, this one looks rather strange to us. And you will find it actually, if you look in K&P, under the accusative case, use number 4. So if you want an explanation from your K&P chart, you will need to go not to under infinitive, you will need to go to the accusative case on page 2 of the chart. And there you will find under use number 4 that the infinitive is sometimes used with the accusative case as the subject. And for example, in Matthew 16:21, notice we have this verb again. It is necessary, present tense, it is necessary that he go, that he depart up erchomai. The aorist is up elthin. Notice that this is a strong aorist, elthin, but up elthin. Look up chapter 9, the verb up erchomai, if you don't remember this verb. It is necessary that he should go into Jerusalem, or unto Jerusalem, Hierosoluma, is Hierosoluma. Notice that auton, which is in the accusative case, is the subject if the verb is in the infinitive mood. So we would translate this actually into English using the indicative. It is necessary for him to go, that he go in, or he depart unto Jerusalem. He is the subject, even though it's in the accusative case. Here I have an example actually from page 2 on the KMP chart under the accusative case, the subject of the infinitive. Before Philip called you, phones I, using Philip called se you, pro. Before Philip called you. It seems strange to us that the accusative case, Philippon, not Philippos, but Philippon, should be used as the subject. But this is the way is expressed when it is with the infinitive. The infinitive can take an accusative noun, or a noun in the accusative case as the subject. So that's the second use. I'm going to skip these other verses. You can look at the presentation and see them. The infinitive of purpose or result. What is the difference between purpose and result? Well, I will give an illustration from my grandchild. Our granddaughter, one of our granddaughters, came in, and my wife explained to her that Opa fell out of the bed. She asked the question, why did Opa fall out of the bed? And she asked it in such a way that it sounded like it was a purpose. Why did Opa, I am Opa, by the way, that is her name for grandfather, or grandfather on this side, on her father's side. I am Opa because we lived in Germany, so we're using the German words for grandfather and grandmother. Opa and Omi. Why did Opa fall out of the bed? Now she asked the question in such a way that it sounded like I purposely fell out of the bed. I did not purposely fall out of the bed. It was an accident. But it is a good illustration. Why did Opa fall out of the bed? Why did he want to fall out of the bed? We could actually translate her meaning. That would be purpose. But actually what happened was result. Why did Opa fall out of the bed and cut his head? The result of my falling out of the bed was that I cut my head. And that was, of course, the thing that impressed her, that stayed with her. She probably wouldn't have thought of it so much if I had not cut my head. Also that she has fallen out of the bed and she's surprised that Opa falls out of the bed. So she is also asking the question for that reason. But to answer your this question, what is the difference between purpose and result? Purpose is when someone does something on purpose, with a purpose. Why did Opa want to fall out of the bed and cut his head? I didn't want to fall out of the bed, but she makes it sound like I wanted to. Purpose. Or result. Opa fell out of the bed and cut his head. He didn't want to fall out of the bed, but he did. And the result was he cut his head. So there's a difference between purpose and result. And the same word can be used in New Testament Greek for either one, for both. And we have to interpret correctly. Is it purpose or is it just result? To go can be purpose. He wants to go to Jerusalem. That is also, even though it is completing the thought of he wants, fellow, I want to go to Jerusalem. It is also saying, I want to go to Jerusalem. And I should add a thought, to see Jesus. To see Jesus is expressing purpose. I want to go to Jerusalem to see. The verb for see, for example, theoreo, theorein, would be the present infinitive, to see Jesus. Or if I use the Adon, Adain, is the aorist infinitive, to see, of horao. Horao is an alpha omega verb, so the infinitive would actually be in contraction, would be horon and not horain. But again, the infinitive can express purpose, with the result that the crowd was amazed. So that the crowd to amaze. Sorry, and here is expressing result. Jesus did not perform miracles so that the crowd would be amazed. That was not his purpose. So that's a difference between, as a result of his performing miracles, the crowd was amazed. It was a result and not a purpose. The articular infinitive, the infinitive sometimes has a has an article, ta echen. Straightway he went. It fell. Actually, this is not a good use. So I'm going to refer you to another use in just a moment. Impersonal expressions, these are from your textbook. It is necessary for him to go, to depart into Jerusalem and to suffer many things. Our textbook author calls this an impersonal expression. I think that's actually enough right now for the uses of the infinitive, that you get a feel for the fact that the infinitive can be used in more ways than we use it in English. And we will add to these uses in Greek 3. For right now, these are all the ones that you need to know. And I would actually suggest that we not remember this one at this point. We will discuss it later. So you have 4 uses of the infinitive that you should know. Purpose and result are together as one. This is number 3. And this one in impersonal expressions, as here, this is what the textbook author classifies as a impersonal expression, and to suffer many things. Or it's an example that he gives. I wonder if it isn't also an expression of result, but the main thing is right now that we realize that the infinitive has a number of different uses, and we have looked at 4 of them. In our second video segment for this week 11, we're going to look at the uses of the subjunctive.